Hi folks, I'm Hector Garcia, CPA and Small Business Advisor. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to apply for a PPP Paycheck Protection Program loan. Now, if you're an employer with employees, or if you are an independent contractor, self-employed individual without employees, the two processes are actually very different. Also, we're going to be discussing the concept of first draw and second draw, which matter a lot because the Paycheck Protection Program first came out in 2020 during April 2020, and that was considered to be the only time that the Paycheck Protection Program would ever exist. And now that it's basically come back to life with the new legislation that was passed on December of 2020, there's going to be a second opportunity to get either go back and get the first draw if you missed it, or if you were too late, or if you didn't know about it, or maybe you think you thought you didn't need it. That's going to be the first draw. You can actually apply for a first draw in 2021 if you haven't gotten it already. And for the folks that already got a first draw during 2020, they're going to request a second draw. So this video is going to be split into two. The first example, we're going to use Lendio, which is actually not a bank, not a financial institution. Lendio is going to take your application and it's going to find the right bank that wants your loan. And what I mean by wants your loan means that they specialize on your type of business, maybe the size, the business structure. So what's really cool about working with Lendio, and I worked with Lendio quite a bit last year, is that you don't have to be a slave to whether the bank that you're actually applying for is going to put you on hold, or they might not process it, or they don't know what's going on with the loan. They're actually going to find the bank for you and place you with someone specifically to process that loan for you. So that will be the first example. And we'll do employees, or companies with employees for the Lendio example. If you are a self-employed individual, someone without employees, someone that files a Schedule C tax return, maybe an independent contractor, you can skip to the part where we do an application for you, and we're going to be using BlueVine. That's a fintech, that's an actual bank that's going to lend you the money directly. Different than Lendio. Lendio is going to find you a bank, and a BlueVine will be a direct bank to work with. If you have employees, you can also go with Lendio, or you can go with your regular bank where you bank, or any financial institution that offers it. But in this video, we're going to be doing those two examples. Lendio first, companies with employees, and then BlueVine for self-employed individuals, just so I can give you kind of two flavors of two approaches on how to do this. So you can skip, if you're a self-employed individual, skip to the minutes below, whatever, to go straight to the BlueVine application. Now, before we go into doing the application in Lendio, I'm going to also just go really quickly over the Treasury website that talks about all the PPP rules. So if you're unfamiliar with the PPP rules, I'll put a link to this website below. You can click here where it says top line overview of first draw, or top line overview of second draw. That's going to give you all the information that you need. I'm going to click on top line overview of second draw because I want to talk directly to the people that already received the PPP loan last year and they're looking to get a second round of funding. Now, if you already got the loan, it might make sense for you to go back to the same bank that gave you the loan in the first place. It might be easier, but if for whatever reason you're switching, then this video would be useful for you. A couple of things I want to make sure to iterate is, in order for you to be eligible to apply for the second round, not the first round, the second round, your business cannot be more than 300 employees. That's a very important restriction. If you're part of a control group where there's multiple businesses and the total sum of the businesses adds to more than 300, there's a huge chance that you will not be eligible for the second draw. Also, you must have already received the first draw and spend the money. So completely spend the money on the authorized uses like payroll, utilities, rent, and the COVID-related expenses that are stated on the bill. And lastly, in order for you to get that second draw of the loan, you need to demonstrate that at least 25% of your sales went down in any one quarter during 2020 compared to 2019. So you have to compare all 4 of your quarters during 2020 with the same quarter on 2019 and make sure there's a reduction of sales of 25%. If you don't have a reduction of sales of 25% in at least one of the quarters, you're not eligible for the second round or second draw of the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, if you're asking, how do I know? I don't have good accounting. I don't have good records. There's no way for me to know because I didn't put together a quarterly financial statement for 2019 and 2020. Well, the answer is you got to get that done, right? You got to learn how to do it, get an accountant involved, whatever it is. You got to do those books and records to make sure you can prove that you had that revenue reduction. Now, for self-employed individuals, this gets a little bit more tricky because most self-employed individuals don't do financial statements, but you got to figure out a way to prove it, maybe with bank statements, proving that your deposits went down for any given quarter. There might be multiple ways to do that. You're going to be dealing with the bank directly for that. So anyway, I'll skip through that. I want to make sure that you know you can access this PDF and you can go through it so you understand how the loan works. So let's skip straight to the Lendio application. I'll put a link to go straight into this website, to the Lendio application, and you'll learn how to do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an account. So I'm going to put my name here. Then my business name, let's call it Garcia Enterprises LLC. And a phone number, I'll just make one up. Okay, and then email address, I'll make one up too. So once you've created your account, you go to I agree, and then you click on continue. So the first question that is asked you is A, did you already get a first draw? Are you applying for a second draw? So that's the question here. So for this example, we're going to say yes. And so I'm going to show you the workflow on that. If you hit no, then it's not going to ask you any information about the previous loan. But I'm going to put yes so you can have an idea what you're going to expect. So let's say the first loan, I got it through some other bank. So I'm going to go find out through that bank what the SBA number is. And I'm going to put the SBA number here. And that needs to be the correct SBA number because it's going to check with the SBA that you have in fact received the first round of funds. You cannot get second round funding if you haven't received first round funding. Then I'm going to say how much money I received. Let's say that we got $250,000. And then I'm going to click on next. Then all the information about my business. So let's put 111 Main Street. Okay. And the date the business started. Remember, this business has to have been active before February 15th of 2020. Okay. So if your business was founded or created after February 15th, 2020, you're not eligible for PPP period. So I'll put here 2019. And then business type. So depending on your type of business, you're going to pick if you're a sole proprietor, partnership, S Corp, LLC, whatever happens to be. Let's say we are an LLC partnership. So I'm going to click on LLC and then I'll put my tax ID. Okay. And then I'm going to put the industry. So let's say we are a consulting firm. Okay. Let's see. There's nothing for consulting. Let's put business. Let's do business, all business and support services. Okay. Then number of employees. So let's say that all the number of employees, including the owners, is 10 in total. And then we're going to put the average monthly payroll. So there's a whole bunch of things that go into this. If you actually click on the payroll calculator, it opens up a new page where you can actually put all the information that's eligible for that. So let's say, for example, let's say that my payroll is actually $1 million for my company. So I'm going to put $800,000 for payroll. And then I'm going to put $200,000 for health and insurance benefits. Okay, so that's it. So that got me the number, whatever the number that I qualify for. But what I qualify for would be this number plus this number divided by 12. So let's pull up the calculator. Okay, so let's say that I have $800,000 of payroll, salaries, wages, plus $200,000 in insurance, health insurance. That's $1 million divided by 12. Then my monthly average payroll would be 83333.33. And then you multiply that times 2.5, and that's how you get the amount that you qualify for. Okay, so I'm going to put here 83333.33. Again, it's going to be your job to make sure that that you get this number right. So it's 33. You get some right because you're going to pull it from your payroll records. Then it says loan amount. You can actually ask for less than the maximum, but everybody puts the maximum, which I agree. So let's put 208,332. Okay. So we calculated our average monthly payroll as our total payroll, W-2 employees paid during 2019 or 2020. We're going to pick the biggest number, whichever number happens to be. We're going to add up the health insurance and the gross wages, not the taxes, just those two. Add them up for the year divided by 12. That's your average monthly payroll. And then here it tells you what your loan amount is. Then you're going to tell it what you're going to use the funds for. So we're going to use it for payroll, for rent, for utilities, and the other stuff that they're calling covered expenses, which are any expenses related to mitigating the COVID situation. So that could be buying PPE or making upgrades to your office to make sure your employees are safe, or property damage during the riots, or special supplier costs that you had to pay in order to keep your business open. Maybe extra virtual telephone and virtual communication software so you can operate during that. You might want to check the Treasury website for those details, but I'm going to go ahead and check them all and then click on next. So that was the first step, right? Number of employees, amount of payroll, total amount. Now we're going to take our our financial records. We're going to look at our financial statements for 2019 and 2020 by quarter, and we're going to compare our sales or our gross receipts. So let's say, for example, we have an average of, let's say, $3 million in revenues. So we'll put here, let's say, 500,000 the first quarter, and then 750,000 the second quarter, and then 750,000 the third quarter, and then let's say $1 million the fourth quarter. I don't know, that adds up. Does that add up? Yeah, that adds up to 3 million. So we're going to compare these are the sales. Now we're going to compare to whatever 2020 was. So let's say 2020 first quarter was 600,000, and then quarter two, let's say it was 250,000, and then we have 400,000, and then let's see what that's 1 million. Let's say 1.25. Okay, good. Okay, so here it basically is going to go in quarter by quarter and find out if any one quarter has a reduction of revenue, and if every one quarter has a reduction of revenue of 25% or more, it will indicate it. If for whatever reason you can't come up with that, let's say, for example, this is 900,000, and let's say this is $1 million. Okay, then it'll give you an error saying you don't qualify because the numbers don't jive. Okay, so again, you're going to put your real numbers. You're going to come up with your financial statements for both 19 and 2020 in quarterly basis, and you're going to put that information there. Then it's also asking you for expenses. Technically, expenses don't matter for the loan. I don't know why they're asking it, but let's put it in anyway. So let's say your expenses here was 400,000, and here was 800,000, 200,000, and 300,000. Okay, and then we'll put here 300,000 or 300,000, 400,000, 900,000, and 900,000. Okay, so again, it doesn't matter if expenses go up and down. They're asking anyway, maybe because they just want to have a general idea for what that is, maybe for additional due diligence. Again, if you don't know what these numbers are, you need to talk to your accountant. You need to put these things together because the SBA could audit these things, and you're going to submit some documents as well. So we're going to click on next. Then we have a couple of questions here. So is the applicant or owner suspended or disbarred from, whatever, is he involved in a bankruptcy? We're going to put no. Has the applicant or owners ever obtained a direct loan and then defaulted on it? Okay, so let's say no. Has the applicant or owner have any common management with any other business? Let's say yes. Let's say I do have another business here. So I'm going to put here Garcia Properties Corp. Okay, and we'll put here 100% owner / president. Okay, it's just additional notes that you have to disclose. Next question is the applicant owning 20% or more of the business, ever been incarcerated or had a felony? You're going to read through this, and then I'm going to answer no. And then in the last 5 years, have you had any felony involving fraud, embezzlement? So obviously, we're going to put no there. You need to answer truthfully, because if not, you're committing fraud. Then is the U.S. the place of business for the applicant? Yes. Are we part of a franchise? Let's say we're not. Okay, and we're not a franchise. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and hit next. Okay, then we're gonna put information about the owner of the business. Okay, so has the ownership of the business changed since the first draw? So let's put no. I'm gonna put no because it hasn't, and then let's put the full legal name of the business. Let's say, actually, this would be the full legal name of the person. So I'm gonna put Hector Garcia here. Then I'm gonna put next. Okay, perfect. Then do you or any other individual own 20% or more of the business? I'm going to put yes because I do. And what percentage do I have? The one that's applying, I'm going to put 100%. Note that if I put a lesser percentage and it is less than 80 in this case, you have to put every single individual that owns 20% or more needs to be in the application. So I'm going to hit next. Then it says, okay, send me some documents. Okay, we're going to ask you to send us some documents. So we're going to click on next. Okay, so the first document we're going to upload is our driver's license. All right, so I'm going to upload some random files here. Okay, and you're going to pretend all these are driver's license. Then a void check. So you have to have a business checking account. You're going to upload a void check. So we're going to upload a void check to that. And then we're going to click on, let's see, we haven't done the void check. Let's pick a random file here and do that as if that's a void check. And then let's do our ID. So I'm just uploading random files. In the real world, you need to upload real files, of course. Okay. So we're going to go to next. Okay. Then it says, based on your answers, you're required to validate the following. You need to upload the February 2020 bank statement. This is how they're going to make sure that your business, what's really in business during February 15th, 2020. So you're going to upload a PDF version of that. Okay, so I'm going to pretend I'm uploading a PDF version of that, and I'm going to go ahead and select that, upload that. And then it says here, please choose what documents you're uploading. So we're uploading the 941. These are our payroll records for 2019. We're also uploading W-2. Okay, so let's say those two are the ones that we're going to be uploading. 1099s in this case are only for self-employed individuals that don't have employees. If you issue 1099s to contractors, those don't count. Only W-2 employees count for the loan. Okay, so let's now upload a 2019 tax return. So you don't have to upload the 2020 tax return because for most people watching this video, they're not going to be ready yet. We're going to upload the 941 form. So again, I'm just pretending to be uploading all these forms for this application and the W-2s. Again, if you don't know where to get that, you got to talk to your accountant. You got to talk to your payroll provider. They're going to have all that. Then I'm going to click on next. Okay, and then it says, review your documents. The more complete documents you have, the more or the faster the applications will be processed. So we're going to click on next. Okay, and then it says demographic information optional. You don't have to fill this out, but I'll do it anyway. Let's say I'm not a veteran. I'm a male. I am white and Hispanic or Latino. And then I'm going to click on next. And then it says sign and consent. So I'm going to read through all these. Yes, I've been in business in 2015 and I'm not adding any subcontractors as payroll. But if I am a subcontractor myself, I have a 1099 for 2019 that I can use to prove that I'm a subcontractor myself, but that's a different application altogether. Then it says you have economic uncertainty. Yes, I have economic uncertainty and I think I need the money to survive. Let's call it that. Yes. Do I have 25% reduction of sales? And please make sure that for loans greater than 150, you actually have to prove it with financial statements. And if you notice, I only put the numbers on this application. I didn't actually have to submit, reviewed financial statements or anything like that. But for loans over 150, you might have to have officially prepared financial statements or stuff that looks real, right? That's made by an accountant, by a CPA, for the banks to even understand it or accept it. So we're going to put yes. And then the applicant did receive a first draw there before they're applying for a second draw. So we're going to put yes. The funds will be used to retain workers, pay payroll, rent utilities, and cover operating expenses related to COVID. Yes. I understand that loan forgiveness will be provided later, that I need to spend at least 60% in payroll and up to 40% in the other non-payroll expenses that they allow me to include here. The forgiveness is later. You have to pay that loan in the future if it doesn't get forgiven. So you have to make sure you agree to that. And then it says that I have not already received a second draw of the PPP. So we're going to put yes. And then I haven't received a shuttered venue operating grant, whatever that is. So I'm going to put yes. Also, I'm not the president. I'm not the vice president. I don't have any head of the executive department or a member of Congress or a spouse of such person, etc., etc. Basically, it says that I'm not someone from the government. And then we put yes. And then it says applicant is not an issuer. That means that we're not a public company. So we put yes. And then applicant is not a business or concern that has, I guess, people from China or Hong Kong as owners of the business. So we're going to put yes. I don't have Chinese or people from Hong Kong owning this business. Also, the applicant is not required to, I don't know what this is, Section 2 of Foreign Agents Registration Act. I assume that if you qualify for this, you would know. So I'm going to put yes, I'm not that. Applicant is not a business concern engaged in political lobbying. Okay, so lobbyists cannot get PPP. So we'll put yes. And then it says, I further certify that if I'm putting wrong information, I could go to jail or pay a bunch of fines. I'm going to put yes. And then it says, I acknowledge that the lender will confirm eligible loan amount. So basically, they're not guaranteeing you'll get this money. They're going to have to talk to the IRS, talk to the bank, and get that approved. So we're going to put yes. Then I'm going to put my date of birth. So I'll put here my date of birth, whatever it happens to be. Okay. Then I put my gender, my social security number. Okay. So I made one up. My address. Okay. My title. Let's say I'm the president of the business. Then I'm going to certify some more. I'm not going to read this stuff. So just read it. Make sure that you're in agreement with all these things. And then also acknowledge and accept the application. And then click on sign and submit. Okay. Then it basically gives you a summary. This is now you have an account with Lendio. Here's a summary, pretty much letting you know we got the application. We are reviewing it. So pretty soon you're going to get an email asking you, hey, you need more of this, you need more of that. We'll link you to this bank. You're ready to go, or whatever it is. They might ask you to log in back to Lendio and add more documents. So go to add documents and you upload more documents if they ask you to upload more documents. And also you can edit the application if you need to. They're also going to have a direct contact depending on where you apply and when. They'll assign a direct contact. So if you're kind of stuck in the process or you're waiting for status, you can contact this person directly. This is why I love Lendio, because you have an actual contact person that will let you know exactly where the loan is, so you're not stressing out about it. You can also withdraw the application here at the end, so you don't make them work for no reason, which I'm going to do right now because, of course, I put a bunch of bogus information in there. So I'll withdraw my application, click withdraw my application, and I'm done. So that was the Lendio application. I know that was long. Let's now move into the BlueVine for self-employed individuals. Okay, so let's go and do an application for BlueVine for a self-employed individual. Okay, so the example I'm going to do here, it's a self-employed individual, someone that doesn't have employees, that receives a 1099. It's an independent contractor, files a Schedule C on their tax returns. First question, have you received another PPP loan before? If this is your second draw and you went with another bank for the first draw, you're going to select the second option. If you've already done BlueVine, you're going to select the first option, and you have to wait for BlueVine to give you a link to apply, because if you are a repeat BlueVine customer, there's going to be an express simplified application. If you have never received a PPP loan before, this will be your first draw per se, because you didn't get one in 2020. You're going to pick that third option that says no. Then you're going to put your personal information here, and you're going to put your phone number. I'm making up the phone number, and you're going to put your email address. It's really important that all this stuff is real, because they're going to verify your identity later on. Then we're going to click on I agree with BlueVine registration terms, and then click on Get Started. Then it's going to ask you tell us about your business. So since this is an example for a self-employed individual, I'm going to put my own name. Okay. Now it's possible that I'm a single member LLC, and a single member LLC would also be eligible sort of as a self-employed individual because you file in a Schedule C. So that could be your business as well, a single member LLC. But most self-employed individuals don't have an LLC, so they'll use your personal name in there. Then I'm going to put my business address, and then my tax ID. Again, if I'm a self-employed individual, I'm going to use my social security number in this specific case. I'm just making up the numbers there. Then what are my annual revenues or my annual sales? I'll put there 300,000. And then my customers, let's say my customers are small businesses. And then my entity type, again, for this example, we're going to pick sole proprietor, independent contractor, or LLC. They all work. But again, I think for the most part, I'm going to put independent contractor because that's most of the case for self-employed individuals. You want to put the real answer, whatever your business applies for. Existing financing, I'm going to put none. Then I'm going to click on next. Then I'm going to read all these questions. All these questions need to be read, and you need to answer these. If you answer yes to any of them, you will not be eligible. So you're going to go through, actually with the example of if you're a business or farm, you actually are eligible if you're a business or if you're a farm, lack of a better term. But so that one doesn't matter if you put yes, but I'm just going to go in and answer no through all of them. Of course, you need to read them and you need to make sure that these apply to you and you're not committing fraud by answering the wrong question. Then I'm going to hit next. Then I'm going to provide my bank data. So let's say I bank through Chase, and then I'm going to put my routing number, and then I'm going to put my account number. Okay. So again, you need to go to your business bank account. Personal bank account works as well. You're going to go and put that information because they need to verify that you had business activity during that time. I'm also going to upload my February bank statement. So my February 2020 bank statement, I'm going to go ahead and upload that. So you're going to upload that in there. Let me just grab a PDF file from my computer and upload that in there. Okay. Then I'm going to hit continue. Then my personal information. So I'm going to put my home address here and my phone number, my date of birth. Again, I'm making these things up, and my social security number. Then my role or title. Let's say I am the owner of the business and I'm 100% owner and no one else owns this business. Then I'm going to click on the checkbox and click on next. Again, I'm applying as a self-employed individual, as an independent contractor. Then I'm going to upload my driver's license. So this is where you go in and upload the front and the back of your driver's license. Next question is, are you a seasonal employee? If you happen to be a seasonal business, you're going to put yes, but I'm going to put no. And then when did your business start? Remember, your business needs to have started before 2020, before February 15th, 2020 for this to be eligible. So I'm going to put my start date, and then I'm going to put what I'm going to be using the money for. So to pay a lease, for utilities, for operating expenditures, whatever it happens to be. Remember, at least 60% needs to be payroll. Actually, at least 60% needs to be payroll. At most, 40% could be any of the other things. If you're a self-employed individual, then payroll is just what you pay yourself. It's not really payroll per se. Industry classification. Let's say I'm in the construction business, and then we're going to calculate my average monthly payroll. For self-employed individuals, you're going to go and find your Schedule C for 2019. So I'm just going to pull up a random one here to show you. So this is a 2021, but yours will say Schedule C, and it would say 2019. And you need to have filed a Schedule C for 2019. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to be eligible. Then you're going to go down to line 31, which is your net profit. And whatever number it's in there, let's say it's $68,000, whatever number it's in there, you're going to take that number, line 31, and divide it by 12. So I'm going to take my line 31, which is 68,000 divided by 12, and the total is 56666. So that's going to be my monthly payroll, my net income for 2019. Line 31, it's my monthly payroll for the purposes of the PPP loan. So I'm going to put here 5666. The number of employees, let's say, is 1. And which time period am I using? I'm using 2019. If you happen to have 2020 tax return completed, you can use that one. But your business needs to have been open before February 15th, 2020. So even if you don't have one in 2019, but you happen to have one for 2020, you wouldn't be eligible. So you have to have a 2019 to prove that you had been in business during that time. However, you can use the number for 2020 if it's favorable for you. So if you had a bigger, more profits in 2020 for whatever reason, and this is kind of a crazy thing about it, like you had a better year in 2020 than 2019, they actually allow you to use 2020 for some strange reason. But for right now, we're going to be focusing on the 2019 tax return because everybody should have that. We're going to take the lines 31 divided by 12, and we're going to put that number in there. If your number or your amount, it's above 100,000, right? You're going to cap it at 100,000 and divide that by 12, which gives you a total of 8,333. That's the maximum you can have. If I put any other number, it's going to give me a cap that says, hey, if you only got one employee or yourself, you're a self-employed individual, that's the maximum you can have anyway. So again, if your net income for 2019 was $100,000 or more, you're going to put the 833, which is 100,000 divided by 12. So you take your number divided by 12, put it in there, number of employees, the time period that we're using. Then we're going to confirm both of these things to certify them. I'm going to put no that I didn't receive an EIDL loan before April 3rd. If you did, make sure you put that information in there. And then I'm going to read through all this because I'm certifying this. And if it's wrong, you're committing fraud, technically. So I'm going to put a note through all of them because I read them and none of those apply to me. And then, do I have any other related businesses? If I put yes, I have to submit a list of all other businesses that I own. That's to make sure that there isn't any kind of double dipping. Let's say I don't have any other businesses, so I put no, and also I'm not part of a franchise. This part here is optional, so you don't have to put it. So I can just leave it out and not put my gender or race or whatever. Check those two and then click on finish. Okay, so now it says you qualify for this amount, okay, based on the self-reported data. Go into your email so we can authorize your account and continue the application. And that's it. The next steps is to go to your email and follow the next steps. It will walk you through that process. Now, very important. Again, I'll put a link to all the applications and the Treasury website where all the information about the PPP program is. Make sure that you understand what you're applying for. Make sure you understand what's going on. This is a loan. A bank or a lending institution is lending you money. You are signing or agreeing to pay that back. When it's time to get it forgiven, which is to prove to the government that you use the funds for the intended purposes, like paying payroll, utilities, mortgage, and the covered payroll expenses, you're going to submit those documents and then the loan gets forgiven and you don't have to pay it back. But if you let the time lapse, you got like 10 months after you finish the program to pay that back. So you have plenty of time to file your forgiveness application. If you forget to do it, you're going to have to pay this back. So make sure that you know that you are on top of this, that you have to get this loan forgiven later on. One really important thing I wanted to mention is that the purpose of this video is to help legitimate businesses in need get access to funds. I'm not creating these videos to promote all the fraudsters that are committing fraud to the Paycheck Protection Program. I hope they find those fraudsters. I hope they put them in jail because they're taking away from businesses that actually need the funding. And this is paid by the taxpayers. So if you're an American, you're an American business owner, employee, independent contractor, whatever, just keep in mind that we are paying for this in the future with higher taxes, with inflation, with our kids' wealth in the future, as hopefully we don't have some negative effects from this, but we are paying for this as taxpayers in one way, shape, or form. So make sure that you're applying for this if you need it. Make sure you're not taking away from someone that needs it. And if you are somebody that's going to commit fraud with any of these things, that's not the purpose of this video. Anyway, I would love to celebrate with you a win. So if you got funded, if you are on the way to get funded with any of the 2 ways I explained how to do it with this video, share in the comments below. We'd love to celebrate that with you. And again, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and chat in the comments, ask questions if it wasn't answered. My email is below, just because I usually give out my email just in case someone has sort of a quick question I can answer. But very important, I don't do PPP tech support. That's not what I do. I don't help people get funded. I don't help people get approved. That's not what I do. I'm an accountant and I run an accounting firm. If you have a small business that needs accounting services so you can prepare financial statements, so you can get ready for PPP, you can hire us for that. But we don't do PPP consulting. We're not in the PPP funding business. I'm just helping people apply so they can get access to it themselves. You might need our help or your accountant's help. As a matter of fact, if you have your own accountant, go to your accountant first, because it's tax season 2021. I hardly have any time to deal with my current clients. Taking in new clients is going to be very difficult, especially if your books are a mess and you need me, within a week to produce financial statements for both 2019 and 2020. That's hard. It's expensive. It's difficult to do. So if you're not ready, if you're not prepared, honestly, I'm sorry, but you should have. That's part of the responsibilities of owning a business, keeping good records for many years, not just current year, the previous year. So again, if you have an accountant, go to that accountant first for help. If you don't have one, you can contact us and we can see if we can help you. But again, we have clients too, and everyone's asking us how to do these PPP applications, which is why I put this video in the first place, so I can help people do it on their own. Anyway, I hope you get funded. I hope you survive the pandemic in 2021, and I'll see you on the next one.